Ladies and gentlemen, a bunch to discuss today as Bitcoin has seen a local bounce from its critical support level on that bull market support band. You can see clearly Bitcoin fighting with that bull market support band for more than a few days and now bouncing up above the bull market support band and actually flipping it or attempting to flip it on a short-term level. Very important moment here for Bitcoin, a continuation of the various important moments we've had over the last week. And of course, we need to discuss the short term, not only for Bitcoin, but for the broader cryptocurrency market, Ethereum included. Many other things will be brought up today, the daily chart RSI, the potential bull flag formation we might be seeing, the 2-week chart RSI, such an important indicator for Bitcoin price action, historically speaking, in a clear triangle formation there. We're also going to bring up the S&P 500 and how Bitcoin tops in relation to the S&P 500. Some interesting developments with the S&P 500 potentially continuing to the upside here. And that actually means quite a lot for Bitcoin. And thank God, guys, we've seen a weekly candle close above that critical bull market support band, which we'll discuss again today. There's a cyclically relevant trend that you've probably heard of by now in relation to that bull market support band. So things are looking a little bit better than they did a couple of days ago, taking a little bit of a breath of fresh air on Bitcoin. A bit more strength showing, not out of the woods yet by any means, not in the clear yet, but it's a good step in the right direction. Hopefully it maintains. We'll discuss all of this in a second. Before we do so, go ahead and check out the Bitunix Exchange. It's a global exchange with no restrictions depending on the location, so you can access it from anywhere in the world, which by itself is very unique in this current regulatory market environment. And secondly, it's never had a security breach before. No hacks, no stolen funds, nothing like that. It's got a clean track record. Those things together make this exchange, in my opinion, very, very good, especially with the competition these days. That's why I use it personally, and I suggest you do so as well. Use my link down below to get a 15% exclusive trading fee discount, which will be attached to your account for life. So 15% off of buying and selling forever, whether it be on futures or spot, just by signing up with my link down below. Also, of course, you're helping out the channel by doing so. And of course, you're helping out yourself by getting that discount on a great exchange. So go ahead and use that link below to sign up if you're interested. Let's get into the content. There was a bit of fear in the market due to the S&P 500 and its relation to Bitcoin over the last couple of weeks. I think that fear is starting to subside to some degree, and that's due to the weekly chart RSI and the S&P 500 chart. We're going to explain this situation fully here. There is a bit of a pattern of Bitcoin topping out 2 months before the S&P 500 tops out. Okay, we look backwards, starting in 2017 specifically. We see the slowdown occurred on the S&P 500 about 2 months after the Bitcoin top. In 2021, again, about 2 months after the Bitcoin top, we saw a big crash on the S&P 500. And this time, if the top was to be in, which a lot of the bears were claiming, if the top was to be in August, that would have marked basically 2 months until today. And so a lot of people were saying, well, if the S&P 500 starts to round out here, that would be a very bad sign because the trend that Bitcoin precedes the S&P 500 top by 2 months would seem to be continuing. Now, the good news is the S&P 500 looks okay here. In fact, we've just seen on the most recent weekly candle close a momentum breakout on the RSI. Very good to see that occur. There was a clear RSI resistance line there, and we've broken that line to the upside. And so although we are still in what seems like some sort of bearish divergence, that alone doesn't concern me too much. Bearish divergences happen on the 1 week chart plenty of times. They happen a lot. In fact, we just saw one back here and we continue to the upside. We ignored it completely. The 1 week chart is a relatively diluted way to view divergences on the RSI. And so in my view, macroeconomic factors and structural supports are much more important than relying on divergences, which can take a long time to play out, months really to play out. So it's good to see a flip of that level on the RSI. In fact, we've literally just come down on the weekly candle and touched it and look like we're potentially bouncing upwards further. So a bit of a fear, potentially relieved there. Not fully out of the woods, as I said, we haven't actually seen all-time highs yet. But if we did see that S&P 500 start to round over, that would be concerning. It's good to see early signs of that fear subsiding. This is all happening in context to Bitcoin's current situation, which has been a very sketchy situation. Of course, we've discussed it plenty of times. The bull market support band on Bitcoin is not just a random support zone. It's actually a cyclically relevant support zone, specifically in September. We always do this. We always have a neckline of support, which you can see there horizontally. We always retest that bull market support band in September before moving upwards again. and we did that again in 2021. We had the neckline of horizontal support here, retested that bull market support band in September before moving upwards. And in 2017, the exact same thing. This is a lot of where that saying red September, that term red September comes from. It's the bull market support band retest within the month of September on top of horizontally valid and present support before moving upwards into what you call Uptober, which is like another term for, it's like a red September thing, but it's for October, and it's insinuating that October is green. Now, I don't recommend you put too much weight to terms like that, or even trends like months being green and red. We just really don't have enough data to confidently claim that that's a thing. But what is a thing here is retesting the bull market support band in September, holding it, and then moving upwards. And so that's why this level's been so important, because the key word there is holding it. We can't afford to lose it. If we lose it, not only do we lose an indicator support, not only do we lose a horizontal support, but we also lose a cyclical trend, which has been in existence for every single regular cycle we've ever seen. So this zone was so important to hold, and luckily on the weekly candle close, we have held it. We got above it actually in time for the weekly candle close, and we're currently still above it. If we look at the short-term just Bitcoin hourly chart, just take a quick look, you can see where the bull market support band is. It's right here. Bitcoin was hovering below it or on top of it for quite a few days there. And during those few days, tensions were very, very high. I publicly claimed that this was the most important moment of 2025. I stand by that. I still think we're in that moment, more or less. You know, moving upwards a couple thousand USD doesn't do a lot to relinquish every single threat that is posed, right? Obviously, we need a lot more than this, but it's a step in the right direction. We've flipped, for now, the bull market support band, and for now, the horizontal support block, which you can see here in green, which goes right backwards to May this year. And also, from the upside, August on 2 occasions this year. So good to see Bitcoin seeing that short-term progress. We want to be seeing this continuing. We want to be seeing 113.5K specifically taken once again. 113.5K has been a pretty critical short-term level. Is where this red line is. I'm circling multiple occasions where it's been retested. Most of those retests have been quite clean. There was a bit of a fake out the last time we touched it, but I'm not willing to throw it out the window yet. In my view, getting back above that level would be a very good sign. What we could see actually, potentially, is some sort of inverted head and shoulders pattern around that 113.5K level. That would be an ideal scenario, because that would be a second retest of the bull market support band in that shoulder, right, on the way down again, right there. Ethereum is doing similar things to Bitcoin right now, not only testing a critical region, like this critical green support block between 3,900 and 4,100, but also, again, bouncing from that region on a short-term level, and also bouncing and seeing a resistance support flip of a critical line back from 2021. That's where Ethereum found its low. We spoke about that yesterday on a daily candle close. It's good to see Ethereum reacting positively as well, just like Bitcoin, and moving upwards, just like Bitcoin, to a level of price support just above its critical macro support. Bitcoin's daily chart RSI is primed for another move to the upside. At least if we get above something like 118,000, it will be. And that's the critical zone to the upside, by the way, $118,000. The yellow line on the screen here tracks all the way back to the 2017 bull market high, cuts across so many important zones for Bitcoin cyclically. And clearly, that's where we've seen the most recent 2 rejections from. And so clearly, that's where we need to get above again in order to be fully in the clear. If we do so, it's very likely Bitcoin will see a breakout from this clear pattern forming on the daily chart RSI, which will give it another volume shift to the upside and basically mark another macro move. So the next move is set up. It's ready to go. All we need to do is just get there. USDT dominance, another great example of how the next move is quite set up. This is a reverse correlated chart to the crypto market. We want this chart to go down. We want USDT dominance to go down because it represents people spending their USDT on assets. It's currently testing a critical level for resistance, which is basically identifying this as a support level for the market. We want this level to drop, and seeing a resistance retest here from such a critical line in red is a very good sign. So let's not get ahead of ourselves. The market hasn't done too much, but it has made a step in the right direction. It has held on to that bull market support band, which shows at least a level of buying pressure there. It has stepped upwards a little bit on the short-term level. What it hasn't done is it hasn't proven to us that we're absolutely in the clear. We're not in the clear yet, and I'll stand by what I said before. In order for Bitcoin to be in the clear, I would love to be seeing a break above $118,000. That is where the line from 2017, which led to these 2 rejections most recently, came from. And that is also where the POC on the local volume profile stands as well. $118,000 is the level of safety that Bitcoin needs to reach. Until we reach that level, we are not in a safe position. But we are also not in a macro drop. And moving upwards on these little short-term steps to the upside, between here and 118,000, each little step we take makes us a little bit more confident, makes us sleep a little bit more easy at night that things aren't going to collapse from right under us. So Bitcoin looks stronger than it did 2 days ago, but it's not enough yet. And the next move is primed. Again, we look at that daily chart RSI. It's primed. There's going to be a volume shift if we break that level. We look at the 2-week chart RSI. I mean, for goodness sake, this chart is one of the most important charts, which many people just completely forget to look at because it's on such a weird time frame, which is the 2-week time frame. This chart, I mean, it's this line up here above, I'll make it yellow just so you can see it very clearly, has literally marked every single macro top that Bitcoin has seen going back to 2011, right? Including, if we actually draw it correctly, including the top in February 2024, which wasn't even a macro top, but it was a top before a 9-month correction. So this is a critical line. We have not reached it yet. And furthermore, we have a triangle formation, which if we break that triangle formation to the upside, guess what? We're going to be reaching that line. So that's going to be a massive momentum shift to the upside if we manage to break it. And where do you think that's going to happen? Well, it's going to happen, obviously, around 118,000. We're halfway between the support and resistance. So it's teed up. Everything is teed up. And we're literally just waiting for Bitcoin to make that swing. And if Bitcoin does make that swing, of course, we're going to be in a situation in which Ethereum and potentially even the altcoin market do the bulk of the moving. And that's great. That's what you want to see. It's something like an altcoin season or an Ethereum season continues. But we need to get there first. So hopefully we do. I'll update you on the short-term situation as it develops. Hopefully we can hold this ground and not just concede it back by tomorrow. Unfortunately, we don't have much predictive capacity given it's only just happened. But the short-term doesn't look too bad right now. And at a very minimum, what I can say is it's great that we've held on to this level so far with that weekly candle close. So moving in the right direction, we need to see a little bit more. I'll keep you updated. Guys, subscribe, like, comment. And also check out that Bitunix Exchange. It's a global exchange, no restrictions. You can sign up from anywhere in the world. It's never had a hack before. It's got a clean track record, which is exceptionally important, seeing as you're trusting exchanges to keep your money safe. If you're interested in signing up, you can do so with my link down below for a 15% trading fee discount for life, permanently attached to your account. So go ahead and use that link to sign up, help out the channel, help out yourself. I appreciate it, guys. I'll catch you soon.